Well, for most people who do get a chance to see the Queen during her visit down under, it's normally a fairly brief affair. The royal motorcade whizzes past the Queen waving from the back seat and the crowd goes home pretty happy with the experience. But what happens to those royal vehicles once the Queen does go home herself to Buckingham Palace? Well, in a warehouse in the northern suburbs of Canberra, David Lipson found out.
When Queen Elizabeth II first came to Australia in 1954, such was the excitement surrounding the royal tour. It's estimated around 2/3 of the Australian population turned out to see her in the flesh, and most of them would have seen her going past in the royal motorcade. Well, 57 years later, in this warehouse in Canberra, operated by the National Museum of Australia, a couple of the original vehicles used in those motorcades still remain, though this one has seen better days.
She came as the living symbol of the unity of Crown and people.
This vehicle was purchased by the National Museum as one of the surviving vehicles from the 1954 Royal Tour. There was a fleet of Daimlers which were used for that Royal Tour, and we have this beautiful car in our collection now.
And it wasn't actually made for that particular tour, was it?
No, it was actually commissioned by the Chifley government for a tour in 1949 by the then King, but unfortunately that tour was cancelled due to the King's ill health. But it was brought up to speed again for the 1954 Royal Tour, so in the end it was used.
And so I take it this would have been the height of luxury at the time?
Yes, no, this is a custom-made vehicle with all the extras designed to make sure that the Queen, while she was in Australia, was in the height of luxury as she travelled around.
It's got a microphone handpiece there for the intercom to the driver. You've also got, electric windows. And you've got your own sort of radio here at the front here, which would have been fantastic, I think.
The vehicle is a very interesting vehicle because it bears marks of its whole history. It was used in the Royal Tour in '54, but afterwards, of course, it had many different experiences as it was owned by private owners. And when we look at it today, it looks a bit dilapidated, but if you look at it carefully, there's signs about the history. So you can see here, there's two different colours blue on the side of the car, and one blue is most probably from when the car was prepared for the proposed Royal Tour in 1949, and then when the car was repainted in the lead up to the 1954 Royal Tour.
The history of this particular car, where did it go?
This particular car ended up on a property in South Australia. You can actually see on the car there's lots of dings, there's a lot of mud underneath the car, there's a tow bar which has been installed on the back. So we can see that for a period it was used perhaps more like a farm work vehicle than for taking the Queen around.
A royal paddock basher, perhaps?
A royal paddock basher indeed. But it's a beautiful car and it's in good condition, and with a lot of love and work we can restore it to its former glory.
And Guy, this is obviously where you keep all your priceless gems?
Yeah, no, this is where we keep some of the cars which have been through our conservation treatment, and this is how we make sure that they're safe and sound and well preserved.
And here's the main attraction. Tell us about this.
Well, you can see some of the differences here between this car and the Daimler, because this car came to us from the Commonwealth Government in very good condition, and we've just been able to maintain it at that level. This particular car was used for several Royal Tours starting in the 1960s and was used in Brisbane. It's a Range Rover. So in this particular vehicle, the Queen would be in the back and be able to do something like at a sporting ground, travel around in a circle and wave to a very large audience.
I like the rustic sort of Australian safari style to it. Is there anything behind that?
Yeah, well, the Royals actually liked Range Rovers and actually used them on their own properties in Britain, so their own estates. So it was a vehicle which the royal family already had an interest in, and I think it was a natural choice and easily adapted for use for public appearances. It got a small number of miles on it, about 4,000 miles on the odometer. So it was really just used for the Royals. That's why it's in such good condition.
And Ainsley, you're one of the lucky conservators that gets to drive this beast every now and then.
Yes, yeah, on the odd occasion. We have a cyclical maintenance program whereby we run each of our functioning vehicles once every 6 to 12 months.
How does she drive?
Really well, yeah. I mean, once you've mastered sort of doubling the clutch, it's not too hard, you know. It does take a bit of work, but it really is a lovely car to drive. It runs well. Yep.
And what's the reason that you drive them?
We like to sort of make sure that the oil and the brake fluid, etc., are sort of running through the engine and through the brake system. It circulates the fluid within each of the systems and makes sure that all the internal parts are coated and inhibited from corrosion, internal corrosion.
So the innards and the outside.
That's right. Yeah, we make sure that everything's healthy on the inside as well as on the outside.